E aí, fãs de bodybuilding, eu sou o Roger e no vídeo de hoje eu vou mostrar para vocês o que o Nick Strength and Power falou sobre o Rafael Brandão ter sido campeão do Arnold Classic Brasil. E como vocês viram, parece que tem uma conspiração ali, parece que o Nick acredita que o Brandão só ganhou porque ele é brasileiro? Vocês vão ver nesse vídeo qual é a opinião do Nick. Bom, eu fiz essas legendas aqui de uma forma mais automática, utilizei algumas ferramentas para trazer mais rapidamente, então não está totalmente perfeito, tá? Tem alguns pontos aqui que não estão muito corretos, porém é para trazer para vocês com a maior facilidade, com a maior rapidez. Sei que é complicado aí para o pessoal que não entende inglês, mas você também pode resolver isso, cara. É isso mesmo, você pode resolver isso aprendendo inglês, tirando o seu inglês do zero até a fluência. Inclusive eu vou deixar aí para vocês a forma para você realmente tirar o seu inglês do zero até a fluência, algo que realmente funciona, tá? Bom, quem tiver interesse, tá aí na descrição e no primeiro comentário fixado. Então bora lá.
All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. So, the finals for the 2024 Arnold Classic South America just wrapped up, and it was exactly what we predicted at prejudging. The exact top three. Rafael ended up winning, Tonio Burton ended up in second place, and Good Vito wound up in third place. So, I'm not too surprised with the result based on how they moved these guys around at the prejudging. They had Rafael in the middle for the first call-out, they had Rafael in the middle for the top three call-out, and they had Tonio in the middle briefly at the end of that top three call-out. So that's pretty much what they showed us at prejudging with the way they moved them. But I have to say, this was probably one of the weirdest finals judgings that I've ever seen. I honestly can't think of another time that I've seen this. And I've been covering bodybuilding shows for like over a decade on this channel. If you guys can think of one, let me know. So what was weird about this was instead of doing one final call out of the top three, they did three call outs of two for the top three, which to me doesn't make any sense because you would achieve the exact same thing by just having one call out of three and moving the guys around, which is typically what they do at shows like this, or just have a call out of the top two if the top two is clear. Now, I'm guessing the reason they did this was that they were uncertain the order of second and third, which again would still be solved by just one call out of three. So they did a call out first of just Good Vito Antonio Burton. So you could tell listening to it that it seemed like the crowd thought, well, maybe the show is between Good Vito and Tonio, because typically they don't do a top two call out for the top three unless the winner is in that call out. And I do think that in this call out, Tonio clearly looked like he was better than Vito. He was sharper, he was more complete, more proportional, and I think that, you know, that was a pretty definitive call out. But then they did a call out of Rafael and Good Vito, which then didn't make any sense to me, because I thought, looking at the call out of Tonio and Vito, Tonio had clearly won that call out, which he did because he placed second. So then they did Rafael and Vito, which to me didn't make any sense. Again, why not just do the top three in one call out and have them all compared at the same time? And I will say that I think Rafael looked better at finals than he did at prejudging. He looked like he tightened up, especially from the back. The glutes and hamstring looked a little bit drier, a little bit more dialed in. And Good Vito, to me, honestly, by the end of finals, looked like he was really starting to fade. And I thought in this call out, clearly Rafael. So then they did another call out of Rafael versus Tonio, which is it just seems super odd to me. And if I don't really ever buy into bodybuilding conspiracies very often, I thought that Rafael, after prejudging, it clearly looked like they had him winning. And I saw a lot of comments after that on Instagram, on YouTube. People were very torn on this one, so I'm sure this is going to be a controversial result with Good Vito third, Tonio in second, Rafael in first. I saw a lot of people saying they thought Good Vito should win. I saw a lot of people saying they thought Tonio should win. And then I saw a lot of people saying that if Rafael wins, it's rigged just because he's from Brazil and this is a competition in Brazil. And like I said, I tend not to buy into those conspiracies very often, but if you are someone that buys into a conspiracy like that, and I'm not saying I do, I think these call-outs are going to further fuel that conspiracy, because the more I was thinking about it, the only reason why you wouldn't do one call out of just all three guys instead of three call outs separating them into twos like that. Well, I guess I shouldn't say the only reason, but I think the person that it benefits the most by structuring the call outs that way is Raphael, because it gave Raphael a break. Because the other two guys that he was being compared against, each of them had to be in all three of those call-outs. Raphael only had to be in two, so it gave him a break during finals. Whereas if they did a call-out of just the three of them for that final call-out, they would all be posing for the same amount of time. And I'm not saying that I think it was rigged. I think that Raphael actually did deserve to win. But I did read a lot of comments saying they didn't think Raphael deserved to win because he was softer. He definitely was softer than the Ohio. He was softer. You know, honestly, I think that Tonio and Vito were sharper. But I think Raphael, because even though he was a little bit off, Raphael was, I think, so much bigger than Tonio and then so much more balanced than Vito. I think that's what gave him the victory. I mean, if you think about a comparison like Hadi Chupin versus Derek Lunsford at the Olympia last year, Hadi, I would argue, was way more conditioned than Derek, but Derek beat him in a couple poses. Like the back poses, I think, is where Derek really took that lead. So conditioning isn't everything. You have guys with better shape sometimes beat guys with better conditioning, and vice versa. So that's kind of what I think of when I look at this. Is like, yes, good Vito was more conditioned than Raphael, but his physique was imbalanced. And maybe Tonio Burton was more conditioned than Raphael, but Raphael was significantly bigger, and not just taller, more muscular. So it's kind of a toss-up, and I can definitely see where the fans are coming from. And I'm sure when I post this video, and I'm sure once people start to see the results, it's definitely going to be a controversial call, because I saw after prejudging a lot of people saying, actually I'd say the majority of people saying they didn't think that Raphael should win. And that's why I wanted to point out the weirdness of the finals callouts, because to me it didn't really make much sense, and I think it was maybe a bad move, because I think it's going to make people question the results even more. Because again, if you guys can think of another example of this from any other show, let me know. Like, obviously you're going to have shows where there's a 1 and 2 call out, and then maybe a call out of another two guys that's 3 and 4. But I've never seen the top 3 compared like this before in 3 separate call outs of 2. And I'm trying to rack my brain thinking of what would the point of that be compared to just doing one call out of the 3. And the only thing I could really think of is it would give Raphael a little bit of a break, and it would give him an advantage. I don't know. To be honest, I'm not surprised with these results. This is what I expected. This is what I predicted. And I do actually think Raphael deserved to win. I don't really buy into the conspiracy here.
Como você viu, o Nick falou sobre essa conspiração de eles terem feito aquelas chamadas em duplas, né? E foi um confronto ali que eu acredito, cara, que honestamente foi mais pela questão do entretenimento, né? Pô, tinha um público absurdo ali que tava muito engajado com a competição, e eu acredito que os árbitros ali tiveram a ideia de fazer esses duelos, porque é algo interessante, a gente não vê tanto isso, e deixa um ar um pouco mais ambíguo ali, né? A gente não tem certeza de quem vai ser campeão, e eu acho que isso é uma adição. É algo que realmente tornou o campeonato mais empolgante, porque você não sabia quem ia vencer, né? Geralmente a gente sabe quem vai vencer com base nos confrontos, como aconteceu aqui também. A gente tem o top 3 sendo comparados, e o cara que tá no meio geralmente é o campeão. A gente vê isso com muita frequência no fisiculturismo. A gente já se acostumou com esse padrão de julgamento. E essa outra forma de julgar foi uma quebra de expectativa e gerou essa tensão, gerou essa antecipação, essa ansiedade sobre qual seria o resultado. Então eu acho que foi mais uma questão ali de entreter o público e dar mais tempo para os atletas posarem, para realmente engajar ainda mais com o público que já estava muito dentro ali da competição. Os caras estavam realmente muito engajados com a competição, cara. Tava um barulho absurdo. Eu acho que é basicamente isso, porque o que o Nick mais citou aqui para dizer que realmente tinha meio que essa conspiração foi o fato dessas comparações mais esquisitas aí na visão do Nick, que ele disse que não viu isso em outro campeonato, e eu realmente achei isso interessante também. Eu não lembro de ter visto isso em em outro campeonato. Então é bem legal isso aí, cara. Mas aí, o que vocês acham? O Nick falou que ele não acredita muito nisso, que ele acha que o Brandão venceu, que ele trouxe essa conspiração pro canal dele só pra gerar um engajamento ali? Ou será que ele acredita nessa conspiração? Bom, não sei. Quero saber a opinião de vocês sobre isso. Bom, acho que é basicamente isso. Até o próximo vídeo.